to do better in future for their maths, and also in general to inspire them to become better students and be able to do well in their school academic work.
Hello and welcome. This is the Midday News. Ahead of the inauguration of Indonesia's President-elect Prabowo Subianto, Prime Minister James Marape reaffirmed Papua New Guinea's commitment to building a stronger alliance with Indonesia. Prime Minister Marape's attendance at this significant ceremony in Jakarta underscores the growing diplomatic and economic ties between the two neighboring nations. Marape's presence highlights the recent expansion of PNG-Indonesia relations beyond traditional border security to include economic development, educational exchange, and trade cooperation. Prime Minister Marape's visit builds upon discussions held in August with President-elect Subianto in Port Moresby, where the leaders outlined aspirations for enhanced collaboration. Over 70 members of the St. Anthony of Padua South Sariba Samurai traveled to Port Moresby from Melembe by boat for a basket exchange program with members of the Mary Queen of the Pacific Catholic Parish in Waigani. The women from the Sariba Parish were able to make the trip after much delay due to financial constraints since July. Samurai Murua MP Isi Henry Leonard attended the basket exchange event. He enabled the women of Sariba Parish to travel to the capital city. He emphasized the need to connect the work of the district through humanity.
Regardless of so many programs and projects we do for the district, there must be a human element in everything that we do. We can talk about so many programs and projects, but without a human element, our touch as leaders is not with the people, a matter of staff. So leaving something or big plus something, you must walk about one time or people follow you.
Pasam National School of Excellence will be receiving 1 million kina from the national government specifically to fund a new girls' dormitory that would cater for 80 female students. Minister and member for Yangon Sausia Richard Maru at the school's 42nd grade 12 graduation made the announcement. Maru says this funding is in recognition of the school's outstanding performance and being a top school in the province in the last 3 years. Many farms and fruit orchards rely heavily on overseas workers under the Pacific Australia Labour Mobility Scheme to help fill jobs on farms. But in the past 4 years, almost 100 Pacific workers have died here and hundreds more have been injured.
On New Year's Day, Moken Mal Tungtung was working on a New South Wales farm when he entered a dam and drowned. He'd previously been a part of the Pacific Labour Mobility Scheme, but left and had found work independently.
There's a lot of questions coming up. The manager or the owner of the farm has to have care over the employees.
Employer P&J Harrison Sons declined to comment while SafeWork New South Wales investigates, but told the ABC it prioritises the safety of its employees. At least 84 Pacific workers have died in Australia in the last 4 years. 19 deaths are under investigation. Experts warn Pacific workers aren't given adequate information in Australia, leading to preventable accidents.
Not a lot is given to them in their native tongue, whether it be the training, whether it be the education around the systems.
Besides drownings, car accidents and medical issues have also been a leading cause of death. Pacific workers are also vulnerable to exploitation and often don't have adequate health or life insurance. Like Moken, thousands have left the PALM scheme often citing poor working conditions.
A lot of them, they come in quite deflated, discouraged.
Valencia Paquete runs a boarding house for disengaged workers.
They don't understand how hard it is to live in Australia.
This worker, who didn't want to be identified, left his employer, saying he earned far less than promised.
I feel pretty helpless, yeah. I don't know what to do, I don't know where to go.
The Australian government has announced a raft of reforms to improve the scheme, including adding more interpreters, but there are calls for more reform.
We have seen, unfortunately, far too many abuses of the PALM scheme.
I think the PALM scheme is failing the Pacific Islanders big time.
Back in Vanuatu, the Maltungtung family wait patiently to find out what happened to Moken.
Please pray for us that there will be justice.
Pre-polling is underway in Queensland ahead of the October 26th ballot, and for many, it's the first time they'll cast their vote in a state election. The ABC has spoken to young people to find out what it is they're looking for before heading to the ballot box.
Who to vote for? It's a big decision.
My name's Carlos, I'm 22 years old and I'm from the Bancroft electorate.
Hi, so my name is Hayden. I'm actually from Cairns and I'm also 19 and I turned 20 this December.
And my name is Christian Lane Krebs. I'm currently 19 years old and I'm in the Burnett electorate.
My name is Lauren Bartholomew. I'm 20 years old and I'm in the McConnell electorate.
Young voters make up 11% of eligible Queenslanders heading to the ballot box. And for many, they're still undecided about who they will vote for.
I'm not too sure, we'll just have to see how the candidates play out and what policies and ideas they present to young voters.
I will be voting for Labor because I really like their policies and I like the representatives in my area and the action that they're doing to better my community.
Housing, cost of living, supporting small businesses and integrity are shaping up to be some of the key issues that could sway the vote for young constituents. But for many, they'd just like to see real action over empty promises.
Being a university student, I'm dealing with a lot of those issues firsthand, and I can't afford groceries some weeks without dipping into my savings. I feel like my future's been taken away from me because I've always really wanted to own a house.
My key issues are supporting small businesses and protecting the economy, making sure that the candidates have strong, viable solutions and sustainable solutions, especially for small businesses in the long term, helping them operate for as long as possible and not allowing for those big companies to take monopoly over those small industries.
As a person with disability, first and foremost, I would like to see an increase in accessibility and disability awareness within the government.
And I think, taking like a multifaceted approach to all problems will really benefit us all. Because anyone can make a promise, but it takes guts, and of course money to actually make real change.
And real change is what they're looking for.
A controversial bill to change South Australia's abortion laws has been narrowly defeated in the state's upper house.
3 hours of debate in the upper house last night. A bill to amend South Australia's abortion laws was defeated in the second reading stage, with 9 members voting in favour of it and 10 voting against it. The amendments, introduced by Liberal MLC Ben Hood, would have required people seeking a pregnancy termination after 27 weeks and 6 days to be induced and deliver a baby alive, and they then would have had the option of placing the baby up for adoption. Both major parties allowed a conscience vote on the private members' bill, meaning that MPs did not need to vote along party lines. Now, those in support argued the proposed changes would have balanced the rights of women and children, but opponents said it would have caused suffering to women and interfered with their access to healthcare. Under the current state legislation, which passed in 2021, a person can get a late-term abortion after 22 weeks and 6 days if it's deemed medically appropriate and approved by 2 doctors. Liberal Upper House MP Michelle Lensink helped to spearhead those current laws and had been critical of the proposed amendments in the lead-up to the debate. Miss Lensink, who also announced earlier this year that she was being treated for breast cancer, posted to social media last night alleging that she was misled by her parliamentary colleague and One Nation MP Sarah Game that she would pair with her on the vote in her absence. Miss Lensink wrote, "It shows how desperate and un-Australian some people are in this debate." Sarah Game has been contacted for comment, but this result means that the bill will not go to the lower house and will not become law. And Mr Hood has previously said that if the bill fails, it's unlikely that it will come before state parliament again before the next election.
Ahead of this evening's Pacific Championship kicks off, Papua New Guinea Orchids coach Tenny Norris expressed confidence in the side she has assembled. She said drawing experience from the humiliating 50-0 defeat against Australia in the recent Prime Minister's 13th match in Port Moresby, her side will take the pitch facing the Australians again in the tournament opener. Norris told NRL.com her side learned plenty in the defeat. She said their girls knew where they went wrong. They would be in better position going into the match. One of the areas Norris placed emphasis throughout the week at training is defence. She wants her side to be better in defence on the edges where the Jillaroos' strength is. She said if her side do well in their defence, they could upset the Jillaroos. Watch this match and other Pacific Champion matches on TVWAN Sports. Sports events. Corporate Nines Rugby League unbeaten teams are determined to continue their winning run in round 2 at the Sir John Guy's Stadium Saturday night. The opening round of the competition last Saturday yielded some interesting results as teams slowly get back into the swing of things since last year's edition.
In Pool A of the Corporate Nines Rugby League, Bank of South Pacific, TISA, Kare and Spider Tech remain unbeaten. In Pool B, Funeral Home, Laumas, AES, NCDC and IRC are looking to continue their winning ways. At 7 p.m, NCDC play Funeral Laumas, followed by IRC and Skell. GFI take on AES, while EFM is on bye. In Pool A, Department of Finance take on MyBank, Spidertech play Kares Consulting, and TISA play BSP NAC on bye. Former champions Laumas and Spidertech have quality players and would loom as early favorites for this year's campaign, setting the pace in the early stages of the season for a better chance leading into the playoffs. Recapping on last year's season, there were a few surprises when New Guinea Falcons by default won the grand final after Glamour team and favorites Funeral Laumas opted to participate in the CIPIC Nines instead in WIWAC. Laumas are again preparing for the CIPIC Nines and are using the Corporate Nines to gain match fitness and conditioning. Coach Peter Popau has a good mixture of new faces and former DDSL Cup players to strengthen the team. This is an avenue that the team's management and the mother company at the funeral home are supporting to help develop and groom youngsters guided by former and current PNG Commonwealth and DDSL Cup players. Terry Longwood, TV1 Sports.
And that ends our news update for today. Join us at 6 p.m. tonight for more news and sport.